Alright, listen, we need to have a little talk. I'm gonna be talking a lot of shit in this video about some things that I don't find to be very good. I mean, come on, you clicked on a video called I Despise Remakes. I mean, what did you expect? And I'm pretty confident in saying that, yeah, all remakes suck. No, Fullmetal Alchemist does not count as a remake, which leads to the trickiness of this video, because what counts as a remake and what is a reboot? And I don't know how else to classify it other than a bunch of circumstances coming together. I know. It's not a vibe check, I swear. Look, in the case of Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood was a very quick turnaround where Studio Bones realized that, hey, we are not following the source material, we have gotten to a point of no return, we gotta cut all ties and just start fresh. And that's a very anime related scenario, and trust me, I'll be talking about how this also affects games and other media. But the catalyst that started this whole video into even coming into existence was something that's airing right now this season, and it's season 2 of Trigun Stampede. Look, I am a very recent Naito fan. I love Kekai Sensen, and I honestly kind of liked the first season of Trigun Stampede, despite the lack of sauce and oomph that it had with its art direction. But man, this second season just went completely down the shitter. I don't mind Studio Orange's work. I'm a 3D artist. I'm not somebody that's completely lobotomized and just hates on anything 3D in the anime space. But man, this remake just doesn't seem to grasp what makes Night Owl's manga so special. Trigun is a beloved cult classic, and while the 90s version doesn't fully adapt the manga's story completely one for one, it is still seen as a pretty decent adaptation that gets the essence truly nailed down. And while Stampede is very accurate to the original manga, it is just so dull. None of these characters feel the same even remotely, especially Vash.
Oh. Hello. Hello.
I just miss the silliness, man. And that's just my biggest gripe about the way they remade the whole series. The core designs of Trigun is just missing. The world of Gunsmoke is just your box standard sci-fi wasteland. You have none of the cool set pieces, especially July. It looks like a very hollow version of itself. And the character designs, even outside of the main cast, the background characters would have so much flair and visual style to them in the 90s version. And I'm sorry to say, but I feel like that's because of the medium of it being in 3D. To make a 3D asset, you have to account for being able to animate it in various different ways. And it has to be kind of pristine to a certain level of detail. So you can't just have these random goofball weirdo background characters just stick in the show without having to draw them, which Studio Orange ends up doing anyways with the background characters. So I don't know why they couldn't have just done that. No, like literally you're already doing 2D animation on top of the 3D. So why did you have to botch all the designs? And that's why I'm bringing out Trigun Stampede here and bullying it, because I think it perfectly encapsulates why I hate remakes. It's that they feel the need to change everything about the source material. There was no reason to change the designs of these characters, and yet they did it anyways. I'm not one to say that they're whitewashing them, but they are definitely doing some white cooking here, taking away all the seasoning, putting some ground beef in the sink and washing that shit, because what is this? And look, I'm not trying to say Studio Orange thinks that they know how to make Trigun better, hence why they're changing everything, but damn, it sure feels like it. And this is such a non-issue because the 90s version is perfectly fine. Sure, it doesn't tell the story exactly one-to-one the way it was meant to be, so if you want to do a remake and update the animation to be more of a modern quality, then sure, but at the same time, when you're trying to follow the story more accurately, you're shooting yourself in the foot by getting rid of everything else from the original manga. And you see it time and time again where people keep requesting this sort of stuff. The amount of times I've seen people request for a remake of the entire series of Soul Eater is just insane to me, just because the ending deferred a little differently. That is not something that warrants a whole entire remaking of the show to me. There are merits to the original show, and it keeps the essence of the series intact all the way through. But oh Ben, if there wasn't a demand for this stuff, then surely it wouldn't be made. And yeah, I guess you're right, because look at Disney. They've been remaking and recycling their old animated classics into 3D live action slop for the past decade now, and people still see it. And that's just the frustrating part about this, is that Studio Orange could be putting their talents towards doing a new IP that hasn't had the chance to be made yet. But no, instead, they're making an inferior version of a show that already exists. Like Chop Chop, give me Land of the Lustrous Season 2. Come on my desk right now.
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended.
Oh, god damn it. Does this mean I can't make fun of their remake? Fuck it, who cares? Look, I don't want to rehash what is already said in this video that was made a year ago, back before Bluepoint got shut down, so it was a little more tasteful to make. But man, does this remake suck. While in Trigun Stargaze's defense, at least that remake didn't have any actual harm to the show that it was remaking, because you can still watch the original. But because Sony sucks so much ass, we cannot play the original Demon's Souls legally on any storefront on any modern hardware. Sony is literally forcing you to make this the default experience for this game, and it is nothing like the original or the artistic vision that From Software and Miyazaki ever intended. And no hate to Bluepoint, they are a very technically talented team. They were told to make this remake by Sony, and they succeeded. Granted, they had zero competition because it is the only way to play this game, and it was a PS5 launch title, but still, they made hella money off of this game, and they still got shut down, which is just beyond frustrating. So my hate isn't directly targeted towards them, but the fact that they were forced in this position to make a remake of this game without any actual connections to From Software in the development process whatsoever. Demon's Souls isn't some masterpiece, it is a very simplistic game, so if anything they probably could have just updated the combat, but no, instead they had to do a visual uplift that isn't just enhancing the original artwork, but completely rewriting it. Instead we get this overly detailed game trying to push for realism with special effects that are just insanely detailed and fluid for no reason. There's so much visual clutter in this game that it's hard to make out what is going on at any given moment, and some core design aspects of the bosses are just missing. I mean, just look at the fat official. He's a completely different character. They stripped his design and just made him overly gross and just put a bunch of warts and growths all over and called it a day. And look, I get it. It must be creatively draining to work for a studio that only does remasters, but you can't just go and take a game that already went through tons of development, making all these concepts work, and then just change them, because it's not ever going to be for the better. It will always be a worse, inferior version of the original. And yeah, a part of me is biased because I'm an artist myself and I want preservation in the original creator's work. But because Demon's Souls barely had much of an old player base beforehand, most people just took this as a huge win. It looks better than the original, so I'm gonna play it, and yeah, this is awesome. But what if something like Bloodborne, a game that has been played by a lot more people, got a remake in this manner? I feel like a lot more people would be upset if they started changing the designs of Yharnam. And again, I don't really blame Bluepoint. They've already been shafted enough by Sony. So I wish all those devs good luck, and I hope that studios will stop holding their IPs hostage like this. Alright, I want to end this off on a good note. Hopefully that my rage bait sentence in the beginning about all remakes being bad kept you through the video and then make you click off instantly, because that's obviously not true. I want to highlight a remake that actually understood the mission of taking a cultural icon and changing it for the modern day for the better. I am, of course, talking about Devilman Crybaby. I love Devilman Crybaby. Oh, yes, 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 I love Devilman Crybaby. Yo, real talk, this show is gas. Being a remake of the 1980s OVA of the original Devilman series, this show really gets it. Like most 80s OVAs, it was kind of just an action gore fest without really much substance, where the only reason people watched it is to hear Rio curse every 2 seconds for no reason.
I don't give a shit. This is very important.
Is it okay for me to wear my shoes in here?
I don't give a shit.
Suck on this!
Studio Science Star really found a way to make the modern world of social media and broadcasting really tie into the empathy of Devilman as a character. It is really cool to see the way that Rio leverages all these different things to kind of have humanity down spiral and turn against itself. If you didn't know any better, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that this was like a Love, Death, and Robots series. I love when anime go and branch out into a completely different style like this. It has this perfect balance of luring you in, being really cool and stylish, but then hitting you with that overall depressing meta commentary. I won't get into spoiler territory since it's only 10 episodes, but I highly recommend you watch it. It is one of the best limited series Netflix has to offer, and the ending absolutely crushed me. The fact that they were able to condense the story down and still create something wholly unique goes to show why Studio Signstar deserved to have this remake, because instead of trying to make something one for one or overshadow the original, they made something holistically new. And that brings me to my point with all of this, that you need to go into making a remake with not the idea of trying to improve or replace, but to create something new and put a different spin or take onto a story or idea. Well, so he lied. He doesn't despise the remakes. He lied. He lied!